Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show, presented by Bright Angel Outfitters, is back. For Grand Canyon hiking-themed hoodies, tees, and sweatshirts, and our soon-to-be-released Rim to Rim pack, please check out brightangeloutfitters.com. You just have to see that new Victor Vomit Don't Be a Vic t-shirt. If you know, you know. That and much more, including an entire Rim to Rim collection from the company that makes this show possible, brightangeloutfitters.com. All right, this episode was very much unplanned, but it's important because it will serve as a reminder that no matter how much experience you have below the rim, the canyon has a way of dealing you the unexpected. A few episodes back, we met Coach Arnie Fonseca Jr., who's an exercise physiologist with vast canyon experience. A couple of years ago, at age 62, Coach Arnie became one of only a handful of people who have ever completed a quadruple crossing of the canyon. That's rim to rim to rim to rim to rim continuously. Well, he's training to do it again, aiming for October when he hopes to become the oldest to ever complete the quad crossing at the age of 65. Now, Arnie and I train on Black Mountain in Cave Creek, Arizona, and he's one of my biggest inspirations for this canyon craziness that's become such a big part of my life. This past Saturday, I hustled to catch up to him before the sun was even up, because I knew the week before he'd been at the canyon for a training hike, a rim to rim to rim, and I wanted to hear all about it, especially because it's January, and I've been thinking about trying a winter rim to rim to rim myself. Well, let's just say that after our conversation, a winter R3 is no longer something I'm seriously considering. Arnie had quite a story to tell about his experience, and it didn't take long for me to say, dude, we have got to do a podcast on this. So here we are. This is Coach Arnie's account of a winter rim to rim to rim, and the lessons he learned that can help us all on our canyon adventures, no matter the season.
You always must respect the canyon. Don't challenge the canyon, because everybody thinks they can just set a plan and you're operating in some kind of a vacuum, but you're not. You're operating in the wilderness. It's alive. It's changing constantly, which means if you're not really good at adapting, managing, you're going to lose more. You may get away with more if you're very, very fit, but at some point you'll be challenged as well. Just don't forget the rule. Don't challenge the canyon. Respect the canyon. A week before, I was getting queasy in my belly. At the moment, there was a snowstorm coming in. It was over the weekend, and then it was going to clear up, and then I knew another one was going to come in, but it was going to be shorter. So I was getting queasy. It's like, ugh, what am I going to walk into here? Anytime my gut talks to me, I listen. So I definitely did. But, one of the things that it told me was like, hey, if we're not doing something that scares us once in a while, we're probably not growing. And this definitely was a scary moment in the moment, but not when I arrived at the rim. I was ready.
Coach Arnie's plan was for a full rim to rim to rim by going from South Kaibab to North Kaibab, then back to South Kaibab for a total of just over 42 miles with 22,000 feet of elevation change. But with the North Rim closed and snowed in for the season, and battling a sprained ankle from a week before, Arnie was forced to have contingency plans in place. When the North Rim is open, there's always the possibility of bailing and taking a shuttle back, but not in winter. In winter, every step must be retraced.
If the ankle caused me to walk or hike differently, I was going to bail. Because you don't, the further you get in, the further you got to come out. And walking funny and developing a backache or a hip problem, it's not worth the long climb out in misery. So that was my first contingency that I was thinking about. And that was part of that intrepidation too, earlier in the week was, gosh, is my ankle going to hold up after 40 some miles? It was cold on the South Rim, and my brain had already been put on alert when I drove up in my favorite parking spot covered with snow, and there was about 4 inches of snow along the walkway, and the winds were kicking up, which is not a big deal in the South Rim, but winds were kicking up, and it was pretty cold, and I couldn't wait to get going, even though I knew that first part was going to be windy because it always is. This is a training adventure. This wasn't like my A in racing A race. It was a training adventure. So my goal was to get there, get serious, get it done, get out, get home. I wasn't overly concerned about the cold because I was ready for weather. I had wind stuff, I had cold stuff. I had a nice new pack that I could carry a lot of stuff in, which was pretty cool. So I was kind of excited about that. I had my spikes, I had all the safety equipment, I had a filtering device. Physically, I was dialed in, except for the ankle, because I had some really good training the last 2 months. So I felt really dialed in physically. So I should be okay. My famous last words. I should be okay.
So, knowing a storm in the previous days had dumped some snow on the north side, but not knowing how much or how it might affect his hike, Arnie dropped in from South Kaibab just after 5 p.m. on a Friday.
So I started off and icy for about the first 3 miles, Brian, up down to probably Skeleton Point. Still some ice on the trails and snow on the trail down to about Skeleton Point. The worst aspect going down was from the previous snow. I was getting whipped in the face with the wind blowing the snow in my face. That hurt. I didn't feel good. So and I didn't want to be wearing sunglasses. So one other thing I could have had was some clear lenses that I have, but I didn't bring those. But it's okay. So I get down to Phantom Ranch about 7:30ish, 7:45, let's say, and I feel pretty good. Ankle's not bad at all. I can feel it. I feel good. They were having a nice dinner in the Phantom Ranch dining hall, and so I just sat there and took out my stuff, filtered some water, filled up. I only used one bottle coming down, roughly, and made sure I had all my stuff packed where I wanted it, put everything back together, and took off. And again, I wasn't overly concerned about time. I did have some rough benchmarks I wanted to hit. The main reason for that was the ankle again, because I didn't want to push it, and I wanted to just kind of go with the flow. But I had some rough benchmarks, which was my main one was to get to the base of the North Rim, Manzanita, by midnight or before. And so I cruised as I was cruising into Cottonwood area before that, which is about a mile and a half out. So maybe close to 2 miles out from the North Rim, Brian, I was noticing snow on the ground. And I'm thinking, okay, there was a little bit more than I thought because it was sticking. So it was cold, but I wasn't that cold coming through there. It was nice at Phantom Ranch, in the Phantom Ranch area, but it wasn't super cold at all. But it was cold enough for the snow to be sticking on the ground. I wasn't even expecting snow until halfway up the North Rim, because I've gone there before with a big snowstorm the day before, a big one, and I would see some ice on the North Rim, but nothing until you got to really Supai, 2 miles maybe down. So then I'm going, okay, whatever. So I keep going, get over to Manzanita about quarter till midnight. And as I get to the bridge, it goes across the Bright Angel Creek there. It is icy and snowy. And I'm thinking, oh boy, we got stuff going on here. And then as I came across the bridge and headed up into Manzanita, it was covered in snow. Never seen that before. Covered in snow. And I thought, all right, this snow came down pretty low. So, and it's sticking. So I go, no reason to panic. Just and I looked up the trail too, and I could see snow on the trail. So I said, well, you better put your spikes on. And because my second contingency that I told my wife and others, that if it was snowing, I'm bailing. It's not worth the risk that you can't see the trail, especially going up the North Rim. There are no handrails there. So I wasn't planning on, doing some kind of daredevil routine going up the North Rim. So that was just, if it was snowing, I'm not doing this. But I had to get there to find out. And it wasn't snowing. It was just, there was snow when I saw, and it's funny, the one picture I didn't get was the the sign there that was because the trail was roped off with a nice big sandwich board sign that said closed.
Right there by Manzanita?
Yeah, it's closed. And I said, oh boy. So I got dressed, went over there with my headlamp, and just read it very thoroughly to make sure I was okay. Because the ranger station's right there. I read the sign, very clear, 8 a.m., 4 p.m., closed, blah, blah. So I said, okay, well, it's midnight, so I'm okay. And I'll be out of here I'll be out of here in 4 or 5 hours.
And for those that don't know, the closure was not due to the weather or anything like that. The closure is a planned closure that the NPS put in place because they're doing some surveying up above the trail in certain spots, and they're worried about rock slides and things like that. So that's why they're closing it from 4 to, what was it, 8 to 4?
8 to 4.
8
to 4.
8 to 4 every day for a while in order to avoid people having rocks falling on their head. Seems to make sense. Yeah. But you were in the clear, so I
was in the clear.
You went right on.
And my goal is to be out of there no later than 6 hours, up and down in 6 hours at the long end.
From Manzanita and back down.
Yeah, normally 5 hours is my range, but I'd like to be out there no later because I knew there was going to be some snow, and I'd done it before in the snow, and it didn't take me any longer than that. Actually, I did really well. So I headed up, had my spikes on, but literally just within a few yards, there was no snow. It was dirt. I said, oh. So I stopped, got down, took them off again, put them in my pack, and then started heading up. And as I got probably to the first turn, Brian, I saw snow again. And now I could see it. It's like, okay, this is not just some snow, it's snow.
Are you past Roaring Springs at this point?
No, just right.
So even before.
Oh, way, way before. As you're going up the trail from Manzanita.
Yeah.
Right when it's a pretty decent little climb out of Manzanita. And right there. I mean, not even a quarter of a mile. It was snow. And so I stopped. I didn't stop for quite a while. I just kept going through it because it was about, I'd say 4 inches. It was deep enough. 4 inches is, pretty deep. And I just kept but there were some footprints in front of me. So I go, well, somebody's been here. So let's see what's going on. Maybe it's, but it was powder. And I'm not a big snow expert. It would have been nice if it was kind of like packed. This was not packed, but it looked like they were fresh steps. I thought, let's see what's going on here. So I just kept going, and I got past Roaring Springs, that little turnoff that shows you can go down or you can go left. And that's about a mile up. So, but it was slow. I go, crap, that was like almost an hour. I said, this is not a good pace. And I thought, if it doesn't speed up here, this is like it's almost a 12 to 14 hour pace because you got to come down. Normally you come down faster, but if it's icy and snowy, it's going to be slower. So I go, well, let's keep going. You're okay. You're okay. It's like 1 a.m. So I'm going, here we go. Keep going. And it wouldn't let up. It was 4 inches. Some places were a little bigger. And then as I got to areas where you had to climb and some steps, now it's like, okay, where's the step at kind of thing. And so you kind of post-holing a little bit, making sure you're not landing on rock. Because there's some areas there, the North Rim, that are kind of rocky, And then you get to places where the big deep steps, and I could see just underneath them, and you could see kind of water dripping a little bit, but there was a little gap. So I'm thinking, okay, take your time, put your foot on top here, climb up here, keep going. I'm thinking, geez. And so I go, well, let me see if I can get to the waterfall or right around there, and I'll make my final decision because it wasn't clearing up. And so right before the waterfall area, there is a cliff area that's pretty, you climb up to get to it. And then it's pretty, it's a sheer drop off as you look over there. I always like to, and it was clear. It's underneath an overhang. So it was clear. coming up to that, there were a lot of icicles and things like that. So literally, I got above that. I said, well, let's just see what's going up here next. And so I was about 2 miles at this point, and literally, it was now right around 2 a.m. ish, and I'm thinking, geez. So I got to the next little turn, came up, and I go, well, I'm going to get up to there, and if I look to the next elevation, if it doesn't change, I'm going to make my decision.
Arnie, there's a lot of places along that trail, the section of trail that you're talking about. You're just below Redwall Bridge now. It's the iconic part of North Kaibab, as far as I'm concerned. It's where everybody gets the pictures. It's on the cliff's edge. The trail's cut right into the side of the canyon wall. But I'm guessing with it covered with snow like that, I mean, are you having to like feel around with your poles like to find out where the edge is?
Well, I could see the cliff on my left. So I just stayed closer to that. Okay. And I was more focused on what's in front of me. I could see, because my light was really good. I could see, I wasn't as focused on the edge. I was looking for the edge, Brian, because that was kind of a favorite area of mine too. So when I got up to that final climb after that edge, after the steep edge, so the final climb that I took up, that's where I made my decision, because the snow wasn't letting. And now at this point, probably the thing that pushed me over the edge mentally was the snow now had got thicker. So it was now it was high enough that it was going over my boots. And you normally don't see me, I wear topos, high tops, a trail shoe, and they're waterproof. So my feet were fine up to this point. But now the snow, because I don't have gaiters and I wasn't even thinking about it. Because if I would have done that, I wouldn't have gone. Because I'm thinking, well, then we're not doing this. So, but now the snow's climbing over the top of my shoe, Brian, and it's melting in my feet. So when I started feeling my feet getting wet, I thought, oh, this is not good. Because how long can you go with wet feet? This is, the north rim of the Grand Canyon, and it's below freezing, and you're walking in wet feet on snow. So how smart is that, right? Not very. So at that point, that kind of pushed me over the edge. So when I saw the next elevation climb, I just said, no. And I found a flatter area where I could sit down and brush off some snow. And I sat down, took a deep breath, and said, you're done. That's it. And I did a little 30-second video.
Hey guys, this is Coach Arnie. We have a bit of a problem. I'm about 2.5 miles up the north rim, so about halfway, and we're going to abort because the snow is relentless. It's not snowing. It's not even that cold. There's no wind, so everything actually that's pretty good. It's just that the depth of the snow is just relentless, which makes this just a slog. And it's supposed to be a training, and it's supposed to be ready for my R5 at 65. So I have to be smart, and we're going to go back down. It'll be somewhere around a 37-mile adventure, but we're going to abort and not get to the top of the north rim because no need to do anything stupid. Love you guys. Talk to you later.
So 2 things made that decision. One was the feet getting wet, Brian, and the idea that I had to come back down.
If it's not the middle of winter, you have a bailout spot. It's the North Rim. You keep going and you figure it out from there. In the wintertime, there's no place to bail. You got to make it back to the South Rim. There's no choice.
There's no choice. There's no choice. And then you had to, and I wasn't even thinking about, food, water, all that. I mean, I had a solar blanket. I had stuff, but what are you going to do? Make an igloo? I mean, you really don't have a choice. I was thinking about, I got to turn around and come down an area that I was just post holing to go up, and coming down was going to be worse because now I'm looking at an angle with, a slippery surface of powder and potentially ice underneath the powder, right? I'm not going to make up time coming down. I'm just not. Because now, Brian, as I'm coming down, spikes on now. Now I'm looking at the edge because the wall's on my right, the edge is on my left. Now I'm noticing coming down because that the powder was right on the trail, but the powder was all the way to the edge of the trail. And I could see the drop off. And I'm thinking, crap, because I don't know what's underneath that powder. And I don't want to be going over there doing this on the edge, and have some miscue that way. Because I've been in snow. I'm not an expert in snow. I don't consider that to be one of my skill sets. I don't mind running in it when it's packed, but this is not my skill set. So now I'm working my way down, and my brain is so on alert at this point. It is like hyper alert. And there was one time I shared with you, I think my spike kept coming off my right shoe. I couldn't get it to stick. And every time I went down to change it, take my gloves off, because my hand's full of snow and ice, trying to get that thing to stick on my shoe. That's something I learned, get better spikes. And then I'd have to kind of watch to make sure, because I didn't want to lose it because the snow was so deep. I didn't want to lose my spike. I didn't want it to slip off and then go, where the heck did it go? And then I have to go digging through my bag, get my other spike out, my extra one. So just going at a really ginger pace, coming down, really focus on good posture because I didn't want to get over my toes at all. And I wanted to maintain good posture to manage my descent. And so, boy, I tell you what, when I got away from a lot of that stuff and started cruising down into the Manzanita area, I was like, okay. And then when I got to Manzanita, the first thing I thought about, just get to the bathroom. Not because I had to go to the bathroom, because I wanted to kind of warm up a little bit. And two, I just needed to decompress. I needed to just...
I mean, mentally, that had to be one of the biggest mental challenges you've ever had. Had to be.
Yeah, it was...
Wear you out.
I was worn out. I was really worn out. And so it was almost 5 o'clock. And so, like I said, exhausted. And sat there for a few minutes, changed my socks, and then kept my stuff on. It was cold. I couldn't get warm.
At this point, Coach Arnie is still 8.5 miles from Phantom Ranch and 15 from the South Rim. But the hard part is over, and he's left to reflect on a decision that he might not have made as a younger and more ego-driven man.
I was so happy that I made the right choice to come back. I was very happy that I listened to my gut. I didn't let my ego, threaten me and say, hey, look, come on, weenie, you can make it. What's wrong with you? What are you afraid of? I didn't do any of that. I'll be honest with you. I wanted to go, but I kept telling myself, this is not what you trained for. Yes, you train to manage chaos. You train to deal with cramps. You train to deal with stuff. But this is something you can't control. I can't control the weather. I can't. So me trying to go beyond where I went was a challenge, the canyon moment. And you just don't do that. There was a story last year of a group of guys that did that, and one of the guys ended up in the hospital, and who knows what happened to the other group, but it was a complete disaster. And you don't want to be that guy. Not only for the idea that you're making the rangers and the Park Service, do what they don't want to do, but you're just a narcissist looking for attention at that point. And so I didn't want to do that. That's not why I'm there. Got out of there a little afternoon on Saturday morning, so now early Saturday afternoon, and I was happy. I was happy. I felt good physically. It's always nice to come out of the canyon with a smile on your face. It's always nice to come out of the canyon healthy. And it's always nice to come out of the canyon thinking, what's next? How do I make this better? When do I want to come back? What'd you learn?
What did you learn about yourself? Because I just sitting here listening to you and knowing you, I know that probably had to be pretty hard on you to make the decision to bail and to turn around. Yeah. So I get the sense it's something you're proud of. And I think there's a lot to be learned in that.
No, I'm really proud because, Brian, my character is not to quit. You're exactly right. My character is who. Not only am I, it's kind of like when I make a public announcement, and this is not just me saying, a lot of people do this. When you make a public announcement, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to do the Grand Canyon. And then you don't do it. You're setting yourself up for public humiliation, and if depending on who you are, for personal humiliation, because you make a statement. I'm going to do. You tell all your friends, people you care about, and so now you got to answer to them. Well, everybody knew I was doing this, but honestly, that wasn't a big deal because everybody knows I've done it, whether I do it or not. They already know what I've done, so. That wasn't the biggest thing. The biggest thing was this is internal. I literally had a conversation with myself, Brian. It says, no, you are turning around. Live to fight another day. This is not happening today. Get over it. And that was it. And then once I made that commitment, it's like when we make a decision in our life, once I committed to it, Brian, I felt total relief. I didn't have any regrets about making that decision. Zero to this day, to right now. I just didn't. I felt good about doing what I did. And I think one of the things, and I think that's wisdom and experience. Because I think a lot of people, when they do things like a Grand Canyon adventure, will get in over their head and either make more mistakes and compound it, making it worse, or they panic, or they won't even go. They won't even attempt it. Well, I wanted to make a good decision based on what was happening at the moment. And that, to me, that was wisdom.
What is it that you would want someone who doesn't have the experience that you have in the canyon? Maybe it's someone who's never been in the canyon before. It's not even wintertime. Let's say it's summertime or springtime. Season doesn't matter. What would you want them to learn and take away from your experience?
You can't count on it being a perfect day. And if you don't leave yourself any wiggle room, any contingencies, you're setting yourself up to have a really bad day. So the lesson is know yourself, have a plan. Too many people, Brian, I talk to, not just with the canyon, but let's just keep it to the canyon. I ask them what their plan is. You know what they tell me? They don't have a plan. They have a starting time, and they're going to wing the rest of it. Seriously. Even the food. They just pack stuff in their pack. Well, I'm going to take this stuff. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take these gels, these cookies, some candy, because people said to bring this. They're going to take this. They're going to take, they might have a jacket. They may not. They may have gloves. They may not. Because they don't know what's going on at the North Rim. They haven't done their homework. They haven't looked at the weather reports. They're not checking, because I've been there in July, and the North Rim was freezing. So know yourself. Do your homework. Do your homework.
How about this, Arnie? Make sure there's a next time, right? You made sure there was going to be a next time. You're going to attack that again. You're going to go right back at it again. But now you're sure there will be a next time, as opposed to who knows what could have happened if you would have kept going.
There will be a next time. Absolutely, there's going to be a next time. And who knows? Depending on what because Benedict and I have even talked about snowshoeing in from the from Jacobs Lake and then going down.
Come on. 45 miles snowshoeing in, and doing a rim to rim. Yeah. Hey, people do it, man. People are crazy. You're right up there.
Yeah. But you know what? Look, the big takeaway here, everybody, is just respect the canyon. Talk to people. Listen to Brian's show. Get on that those Facebook groups. Ask questions. Don't do this alone. You can solo it, but don't do it alone. Have a team of smart people that you can rely on. Ask a lot of questions. And if you don't get the right answer, don't just look for your answer. Look for the right answer.
Arnie, thanks, man.
Brian, thank you again for allowing me this opportunity. And hey, look, do you mind if I give people my contact information?
Please.
If anybody wants to get a hold of me, either to laugh, cry, or ask questions, you can call me directly at 602-390-9144. 602-390-9144. You can look me up on Instagram at Pain Free Arnie. You can look me up at Arnie Fonseca Jr. on Facebook. I'm also on LinkedIn as well, Arnie Fonseca Jr. But I'm going to change some of those to Coach Arnie. But yeah, ask me questions, pick my brain. I'll give you the best advice I can. And also get on those Facebook groups and ask questions. But I always tell people, it's sometimes great to find somebody you want to follow, Brian. But if you get to know Coach Arnie, I pick up the phone. I'll pick up the phone. I'll help you.
That is Coach Arnie Fonseca Jr. And what an offer that is. How many people are willing to give out their personal contact information these days? Arnie just wants to help. And I think he helped us all with the story of his attempted winter R3. But no doubt he'll be back at it soon, now that he's about 9 months out from his quadruple crossing at the age of 65. Folks, please remember to check out brightangeloutfitters.com for those canyon-themed hoodies and tees. I'm pretty sure we've got some North Kaibab shirts dropping soon. And there's already plenty available, including designs for rim-to-rim, R3, Devil's Corkscrew, Ooh-Ah Point, you name it. That's at brightangeloutfitters.com. That's it for now. My name is Brian Special, encouraging you, as always, to go hike the canyon. Take that first step, embrace the journey, and ultimately, hike your own hike. We'll see you next time on the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show, presented by Bright Angel Outfitters.